This is your first Q&A time writing at 120 words per minute. Your proper names are Mr. Lester Memorial Hospital and Dr. Harrison. Ready? Mr. Lester, what part of your middle finger was caught in the door of the train?
The first joint.
Do you mean the upper portion of the first knuckle toward the nail?
Yes, it was.
I believe you testified that the finger was bleeding. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Were there cuts on it?
It was cut all the way around.
That would be in a circle around the finger itself?
Yes, it was cut all the way around.
This would be around the first joint?
Yes, it was cut clear to the bone.
Did you bring this accident to the attention of the conductor?
Yes.
And did you remove yourself from the train following the accident?
Yes. The conductor referred me to a conductor on the platform.
He directed you to another person?
Yes.
When you informed the conductor on the train, did you have to go up to him or did he come up to you?
I went up to him.
Did he accompany you to the person he directed you to see on the platform?
No, he didn't.
You went by yourself?
Yes, sir.
Did you administer any first aid to the finger at this time?
No.
Did you inform the person to whom you were directed what had occurred?
Yes, I told him.
Did he secure any emergency treatment or first aid for you?
He called an ambulance. Then he put a big wad of cotton around my finger.
He called for an ambulance?
Yes.
What type of emergency vehicle did he call for?
I don't know.
Was it police or fire?
I don't know.
Where did you wait for that vehicle to come? Were you still on the platform?
Yes. The ambulance didn't come, though.
It didn't come?
No.
When were you removed from the platform?
Not until the police came.
Were the police the ones who removed you from the platform?
Yes.
Were you able to walk or were you taken by stretcher?
I was able to walk.
Did the police take you someplace for medical treatment?
Yes, they took me to Memorial Hospital.
Did the police officers question you as to what happened?
No.
They did not?
No.
Did anyone else accompany you?
No.
During the time you were waiting on the platform, were there any other people around?
Yes, there were other people around.
Did any of these people witness what had occurred?
No.
Do you have the names and addresses of any of these people?
No.
When you got to the hospital, did you receive some first aid treatment?
Yes. They took the cotton off and put a bandage on.
Were you admitted as a patient or were you released?
I was admitted as a patient.
How long did you stay at the hospital?
It was 4 or 5 days.
During that 4 or 5 days, did a doctor treat you?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of the doctor?
Yes. It was Dr. Harrison.
Was he a member of the staff of Memorial Hospital or was he your family doctor?
I guess he was a member of the staff.
During the period that you were in the hospital, was any surgery performed on the finger?
Yes. They had to move over the tendon or something.
Were any stitches put in the finger?
Yes.
When was the surgery performed?
The night I got there.
The same night as the accident?
Yes.
Following the surgery, I imagine the hand was bandaged. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was it placed in a cast?
Yes. My hand was in a cast.
How far up? This is your second Q&A time writing at 120 words per minute. Your only proper name is Dr. Harrison. Ready? Did the cast cover all of your fingers or just the middle finger?
It covered all of my fingers.
How long did this cast remain on your hand?
7 or 8 days.
So I take it the cast was not removed until after you were released from the hospital. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, when you were released from the hospital, did you continue to receive medical treatment?
Yes.
Who treated you after you left the hospital?
Dr. Harrison.
Did you see Dr. Harrison at the hospital?
Yes.
At that time, you were on an outpatient basis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did Dr. Harrison remove the cast?
Yes, he did.
Approximately how many days after your release from the hospital was the cast removed?
After I left the hospital,
Yes.
about 3 or 4 days. And after he took the cast off, he put this other thing on my finger and my hand.
How long did you continue to see Dr. Harrison on an outpatient basis following your release from the hospital?
For about a month.
During this period, how often did you visit him?
Once a week.
Once a week for a month?
Yes.
Now, after the doctor removed the cast, you indicated that he placed the finger in some sort of supportive device. Is that right?
Yes. He had this metal thing around my finger.
A metal brace?
Yes.
And did this make the middle finger immobile?
Yes.
Did it leave the other fingers on your hand mobile?
Yes.
So the only finger that was affected by this device was the middle finger.
Yes.
How long did you wear this supportive device?
About a week.
When the doctor removed this metal support, was your finger encased in any other type of bandage?
Yes, it was encased in a bandage.
Was it just a soft bandage?
Yes.
How long did you wear that bandage on your finger following the removal of the metal supportive device?
About a week and a half.
After the doctor removed that bandage, did he apply any other protective device?
Well, I had the bandage on for about a week. Then I went back and he gave me some bandages and told me how to put them on. He also told me to take the bandage off every night and soak the finger in hot water.
For what period of time did you continue to perform this type of treatment for yourself?
For about 2 or 3 weeks.
I believe you said that you saw the doctor every week for about a month after you got out of the hospital. Is that right?
Yes. Then he told me to come back in a month. I went back and then I had to see him again after that.
How much time was there between these visits?
A month.
Then you saw the doctor for a 3-month period following the accident. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you been back to see the doctor since your last visit following the 3-month period?
No.
Have you seen any other doctor besides Dr. Harrison?
No.
How many times did you see Dr. Harrison after you got out of the hospital?
10 or 12 times.
At the present time, do you have any pain or discomfort in that finger?
Yes, I do.
Do you notice any limitation in your movement of that finger?
When I write, it
Leave the video on, right?
Mhm.
You want me to pause it real quick?
Well, I can check
Okay,
it.
yeah, that one's off. This is your first Q&A time writing at 100 words per minute. Your proper names are Mrs. Austin, Mrs. Joan Austin, New York, Joan George, Joan Austin, and Mr. Austin. Ready? Mrs. Austin, have you ever made any social calls to Mrs. Joan Austin?
Oh, no.
Has she ever made any social calls to you?
She has never been to my house.
Have you ever written any letters to her?
Not that I know of.
I would like to prompt your memory. Can you recall letters that you may have written to her when she was in New York with her aunt?
Oh, yes. That was right after her mother died.
Will you tell us the circumstances as you remember them?
Yes. Joan called one day shortly after my husband came home from the hospital. He had been ill for a long time and was still bedridden. The nurse who was taking care of him answered the phone. It was Joan. She said she had to go to New York and that she had no way of getting to the airport. She was so upset that my husband told the nurse to tell Joan that I would take her to the airport.
Did you take her?
Yes, I did.
What happened on the way to the airport?
Well, she said she hoped George would get along all right. Then I said if she really wanted to help him, she would allow their 3 children to come and see him. I even said I would leave the house while they were there.
What did she say?
She said she would let them go. Then I asked her to write a note to the nurse saying that she would permit the children to visit their father. I just wanted to make sure that Joan wouldn't deny later that she had given permission for the visit.
What happened then?
Well, after a week had passed and the letter didn't come, I wrote to Joan to remind her.
You were quite friendly with Joan after that, weren't you?
Oh no, I have never been friendly with her. I don't like the lady.
You asked her to be your friend, didn't you?
I just asked her if she wouldn't try to be a little nicer on account of George and the children because he was very fond of them.
Mrs. Austin, isn't it a fact that when Joan Austin was in New York, you went to her bank and deposited checks to her account that were signed by your husband?
He made me do it.
My question isn't who made you do it. My question is whether you yourself did go to her bank and make one or more deposits to her account.
I think I remember that George told me to do it. Somebody had to do it because he was sick and couldn't go out.
Do you recall how many such checks you may have deposited?
No, I don't recall.
Do you recall the amount of each check?
No, I don't.
Don't you remember that Mr. Austin agreed to pay Joan Austin $300 a week?
I don't remember. I never agreed to.
This is your second Q&A time writing at 100 words per minute. Your proper names are George, Mr. Austin, Joan, Joan Austin, and Mr. Morton. Ready? You have signed joint income tax returns, haven't you?
Well, George just hands me the return and I sign it.
Isn't it a fact that on the income tax return, the deductions for payments to Joan are shown?
I never read the return. I just sign it.
You mean you don't read papers that you sign?
No, I do what I'm told.
Mr. Austin is still very fond of his 3 children by Joan, is he not?
Yes, he is.
Before he became ill, he used to visit them regularly, did he not?
Yes, he did.
He also bought gifts for the children on occasion, did he not?
I bought most of their gifts. He told me to.
You felt it was all right to buy gifts for his children, didn't you?
Can I say what I think?
Yes, go right ahead.
Some gifts I thought were all right, but others I didn't agree with.
What gifts didn't you agree with?
Well, when the question of buying government bonds for the children came up, I didn't agree because he bought 3 for his children and only 1 for my daughter. I didn't think that was fair.
What you mean is that he bought 1 for each child, so they had 3 to your daughter's 1. Is that right?
That's right.
What other gifts did you object to?
When you say that, do you mean what I objected to out loud or what I objected to in my mind?
Well, you can tell us both ways. First, which ones did you object to in your mind?
Well, my little girl wanted a television set, so he bought 1 for her. But he also bought 1 for his children. I thought that was unfair. With all the money Joan has, she could have bought the television for her children, and he could have bought something else for my little girl that she needed.
Did you make any objection about the television?
I did.
Was this conversation with Mr. Austin?
Yes.
What other objections did you have to gifts that he bought for his children?
I didn't even know about all the gifts that he bought. I didn't know what he was doing. If I did know, I probably would have objected a lot more.
With regard to the $300 weekly payment that Mr. Austin has been making to Joan, did you ever tell him that you did not want him to make these payments?
Yes, I told him repeatedly.
Can you tell us where these conversations may have taken place?
At home.
Always at home?
I think so.
Do you recall whether anybody else might have been present at any of these conversations?
Well, there might have been a maid present at some of them.
Did you ever have a conversation with your husband about these payments in the presence of Joan Austin?
No, I was never with him in her presence.
Did you ever write a letter to Mr. Morton